Hi and welcome to this workout with me, Carla. Today we're going to be doing a yoga-inspired flow, a mix of strength, stability and mobility. So let's get straight into it. So we're going to start with one of my favourite moves, which is a yogic squat. A yogic squat. So feet come hip width apart, feet slightly turned outwards, and we're going to come into a nice deep squat. Now at the bottom of the squat, it's okay if your heels are slightly coming off the ground. Wherever you are in your mobility and flexibility journey is absolutely fine. And I want you to bring your hands to prayer position and just gently pushing your elbows into your knees. And this just helps open up more across the hip area and really gets us into those hips. So this is the first move of the session. You might be feeling a bit creaky. So just kind of be free with your movement. Rock a little bit, maybe like play around with how it feels to move your weight to your right side and your left side. And just kind of open up here. I'm going to come into a rotation now. So you're going to take one hand up and the other hand is going to stay pressed into your knee. So one hand up and rotate. And we're going to just alternate sides, coming into that rotation, opening up through our chest, through our back, following the path of our hand up towards the sky with our eyes, watching that rotation. Nice, and we'll go for two more, one on each side. And just really bringing awareness to your movement, feeling where you're feeling that stretch. And again, coming hands to prayer position. Okay, beautiful. So just walking your feet in slightly and bringing a bend to the knees. Your hands are going to come underneath your feet. And again, you want your feet to be hip width distance apart. And we're going to come into a hamstring stretch. So as we straighten our legs, I want you to bring your chest forward as if you're trying to bring your chest through the window of your arms. And then I want you to bend your legs and come back into that squat. And I'm actually going to bring my legs a little bit further apart to make it more comfortable. So adjust your stance as well to find one that suits you. So when you come down into that squat, your arms should come on the inside of your legs. And again, straightening those legs, bringing your chest in between your arms, and then bending back into that squat position, arms coming on the inside of your knees. And we'll go for 3 more of those. So extending and pushing our chest forward, and bending and coming into that squat. And I really want you to feel that extension as you straighten those legs. Feel those hamstrings stretching all the way down to your ankles. And bending into the squat. And one more. Bringing our chest forward, our eyes moving forward, staring at a spot on the ground in front, and back into that squat. Nice, and just taking our hands out from under our feet, and we're just going to peel up slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, our arms hanging down and our head coming up last. Nice. Okay, so we're going to come into some standing rotations, really starting to warm up our core, twisting through our center. So breathing in and lifting our arms up, and breathing out and rotating to the right with the out breath. And breathing in again, stretching up and breathing out, rotating. Now, this can be as active or as passive as you make it. And ultimately, we want to be making it active. So I really want you to pay attention to contracting every single muscle in your arms, every single muscle in your core, and keeping your hips as much as you can square to the front. And that really deepens the stretch that you feel in your core, but also how hard your core has to work to bring you into that rotation. So we're going to go for 2 more rotations, 1 on each side. 1 more. And really extending and just letting this really let your body lengthen and extend. And arms coming down to the side. Nice, and just rolling the shoulders back here a few times. Rolling forward, warming up the body. And let's bring the hands to the shoulders, opening up a little bit wider and forwards. And straightening our arms back. Nice big wide circles and forwards. Great. And now coming to the top of your mat, we're going to do a little bit of a flow, a sun salutation variation. So, feet planted nice and firm on the ground, mountain pose. So mountain pose is all about stability and having our feet firmly planted, and it can carry across into the way that we approach life day to day, being grounded, being stable. So breathing in, hands coming up above our heads, looking up, and breathing out. Back flat, hands come towards the feet. Breathing in, just going to lift up halfway, looking at a spot in front of us, and we're going to breathe out, and we're going to step back into plank pose. So this is where we flow. So dropping the knees, we're going to come down into cobra position. Breathing in, looking up, and breathing out, pushing back to down dog. Nice. Breathing in to plank, and forward into cobra, and breathing out to down dog. One more time with me, breathing in to plank, and all the way through to cobra, and breathing out to down dog. And now I want you to do a few rotations of this with your own breath, allowing yourself to follow the flow of your body. At any speed, you can speed up, you can slow down. And when you're coming into that forward fold, I want you to really feel the spread of your shoulder blades. Feel them spreading apart, creating space in the back of your shoulders where we often hold a lot of tension. And really trying to follow your breath, breathing out with the down dog and breathing in as you move forward into cobra. And we'll meet in cobra and we'll push back into child's pose. And from here I want you to bring your fingers up into little teepees. And again, spreading through the shoulder blades, opening up through your back. As you breathe in, feel your ribs and your chest expanding. And as you breathe out, allowing your chest to sink towards the ground, your fingertips pressing into the mat. You should really feel that opening in your shoulders. Great. And coming up into all fours position. So we're going to go into a tabletop alternating extension. So we'll start, I'm going to start on my right knee. Take your left arm to hug your right knee in towards your nose and just hold that for a moment. Feel the burn in your core as you're pulling those two parts together. And we're going to do 10 extensions. So as you breathe in, extending, feeling like you're being pulled from both ends and really pointing your toes. You should really feel this contraction in your glutes here as you're lifting up your leg. I really want you to focus on breathing in, and with that out breath, extending as far as you can. Breathing in, contract, and breathing out, extension, toes point. That's 3. Breathing in, and breathing out. 4. And you can make this as challenging or as easy as you like, just by how much you contract your muscles in those positions, how much are you squeezing in your core, how much are you extending your leg and your arm. I believe we're on 7. We may be doing 1 extra, that's 8. 9. And 10. And I want you to hold that last one. Lifting up your leg, extending your leg, and coming back down. And you can just push back into a quick child's pose if you need, and if not, we'll go straight onto the other side. So I didn't mention before, but in this position, it's just important to make sure that your wrists are directly underneath your shoulders, to make sure that you're not putting any pressure in the wrong places. So we'll come onto the other side now. So squeezing in our left knee to our nose, just holding that contraction. And extending. And again, just taking a moment here to calibrate to our position, pointing our toes, feeling that extension, like we're being pulled from our fingertips and our toes in opposite directions. We're going to come into 10 extensions. So breathing in, contract, and breathing out, extend. Breathing in, contract, and breathing out, extend. And again, really pointing your toes, really contracting and extending, and you'll feel the maximum benefits of this movement. And trying to keep our arms and legs all in one straight line. We don't want to be waving all over the place. So we've got 4 more to go. Breathing in, contract. Breathing out, extend. And 1 more. Breathing in and breathing out. And hold, hold, hold. Extending. Breathing in, contract. Breathing out, extend. And 1 more. Breathing in, contract. Breathing out, extend, hold. And coming back down to the mat. Nice. Well done, guys. So we're going to move into our bear crawls now. So coming to the back of our mat, we're going to still be in this tabletop position, but what's going to happen is our knees are going to float off the ground. So we're going to be pushing our toes in and floating our knees up. And we're going to walk forward to the front of our mat and walk backwards, moving our opposite hand with the opposite knee. So it's going to look like this. So if you didn't start with me then, I'm going to come back and we'll start together. So lifting up into that floating tabletop, and we're going to walk forwards 4 steps and backwards 4 steps. And we're just going to do a few laps of this. And I really want you to focus on keeping a flat back, keeping a 90-degree angle in those knees, and keeping those knees as close to the mat as possible. What I see happening sometimes is people start lifting their bums up like this and straightening out their legs. That's not going to give you the same benefits as staying low to the ground, like you were a bear or an animal crawling. And these animal moves are fantastic for getting your body moving in a natural way, because ultimately nature is our blueprint, and watching how animals move can help us move in a healthier way. So we're going to do 1 more backwards and 1 more forwards. Keep going with this, guys. You're doing really well. Excellent. And just coming down to our knees, and we're going to move into a child's pose, a wide leg child's pose, for a bit of a rest here. Bringing our chest to the mat, and this time we're going to bring our chin to the mat and just look forward. And just rest here, allow your breath to come back to normal. And if you want, you can walk your hands over to one side, right hand coming on top of the left, and get a nice stretch in that right side of the body. And coming over to the left. Left hand on top, stretch through the left side of the body. Fab. And coming back to the center and back into that bear position. What we're going to do now is some kick throughs, and these are fantastic for stability, for fluid movement. At the beginning they might feel a little bit clunky, just practice them, and the more that you do it, you'll begin to flow like a bear. Not the most flowing animal, but you'll flow like you are water or something that flows like that. So coming into tabletop position, toes digging into the mat and coming into that floating table. What's going to happen, and you might want to watch me first, is we're going to rotate. So my right arm is on the ground and my right hip is towards the ground. My left arm is going to pull back like I'm rowing, and I'm going to kick through with my right leg. So right arm's on the ground, right leg is up, right hip's towards the mat. So I'm going to do a few of those so you can see what that looks like. Again, as we rotate, I want you to come back through that tabletop position, keeping the knees as close to the mat as possible. And you'll feel your heart rate getting up here, especially if you start moving quickly. So this is the movement. So we'll come back and we'll start that together. So we're going to do 20 of those. So tabletop position, floating off the ground, and let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can either look down at your hands or you can follow your foot round. 7, 8, 9, 10. Keep going, guys, halfway through. 13. Your quads will be burning. Yeah, they might be burning. Keep pushing through. Got 4 more to go. 2 more to go. And rest, knees to the mat. Back into a child's pose if you need, and if not, then pushing straight back into down dog. And we're just going to take a slow pedal out of the legs, stretching into those calves, into those hamstrings, really lengthening the legs. And just taking a moment to allow our breath to come back to steady. Those bear kick throughs can get our heart rate up. Nice. Fab. So we'll come into a still down dog here. So I want a slight bend in your elbows, just so you're not hyperextending. I want you to feel your hips as if they're being drawn up towards the sky. You're moving up from your hips. And if you need a slight bend in your knees, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to have your hips on the ground. So I call this one the rocket dog. So we're going to start with our right leg, and what's going to happen is you're going to come forward with your right knee to touch your right elbow. Then you're going to go up into a 3-legged dog, full extension. And back forward again. And extend. Knee to elbow, as high up on that elbow as you can. And extend. Knee to elbow. And extend. Do a few more of those. Keep that rhythm going. Keep extending as high as you can. When you come forward, trying to touch the knee to the elbow as high up on your arm as you can. And when you extend, trying to lift your leg as high as you can. And we'll go for 1 more. Coming forward, extend, and back down to the mat. Nice, and just pedaling out again. Taking child's pose if you need a rest. And if not, going straight onto that other side. So, with our left leg coming forward, knee to elbow, and extending. And coming forward, and extending. And on that extension, really lifting that leg as high as you can. When we bring our knee to our elbow, we're focusing on holding it up as high as we can. Nice. And just making that movement really nice and fluid, remembering to breathe. Remembering that you're flowing like water, you're elegant. And we'll go for 1 more. Coming forward, back into that extension, and down into your down dog, and just pedaling through that down dog. Nice. Well done. And taking a quick break, quick rest in child's position, forehead to the mat. Big breath in, big breath out through the mouth, just releasing all of that. And again, in through the nose. Big, noisy exhale out through the mouth. And pushing back into down dog. We're not finished here yet. So we're going to come again into that 3-legged dog with our right leg. But this time we're going to make a little rainbow arch. So the right leg is going to come down into our left side of the mat. It's going to bounce back up and to the right side of the mat. And we're going to do 10 of those. So that's 2, 3. And when you're bringing it down, I want you to bring it as far out as you can. For 4 more of these. And trying not to let the back round, keeping it as flat as possible. 1 more. Nice, and coming back up to the top. And I want you to bend that leg and just opening up into your hips, giving your hips a nice stretch here. But trying to keep equal weight distribution in both of your hands. Nice, and coming back into that down dog. And again, just pedaling out before we go into the next side. Great, so 3-legged dog, left leg lift. And the same thing on this side. So we're going to tap down on our right side and rainbow arc up. And go for 10 of these. So again, keeping that back flat, really trying to keep your legs as straight as possible, keeping that movement fluid, elegant. One more. Nice, and coming back up to the top. We're gonna open up into our hip opener. And again, equal weight distribution through our hands. Beautiful. So coming back into that down dog. Nice, and just again pedaling through. And again, coming back down to that child's pose if you need that rest. It's actually, we think that we need to power through workouts and not take any rest, but sometimes rest allows us to work harder in the work sections of the workout, and actually that can be more beneficial for us in the long term than completely killing ourselves. Nice. Okay, so what we're going to do now is come into some push-ups. So with these push-ups, we're going to keep our elbows tucked in and as close to our body as we can. You're welcome to do them full push-ups or push-ups on your knees. And this is great preparation for our chaturanga, which is part of our yoga sun salutations. So, hands directly underneath your shoulders, knees to the ground. And we're going to lower down into push-ups, keeping our elbows as close to our body as we can. We're going to go for 12 of these. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, halfway guys, 7, 8, keeping those elbows tucked in, 9, 10, 2 more, 11, and 12. And then just lowering ourselves really gently all the way down to the mat. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to come into a really nice stretch and opening movement for the back. So these are rolling cobras. So what we're going to do is as we breathe in, we're going to roll up into that cobra, our head coming up last, looking up towards the sky. And as we breathe out, same as what we were doing with those push-ups, we're going to keep our elbows tucked into our body and lowering back down. Again, head and forehead coming down last. Let's do a few of those, and I want you to move with your own breath, rolling up like a wave, breathing out, rolling back down. Move with your own breath, move with your own body, connect in with what feels good for you. And stay here for a few moments more. Wherever you're at, just finish up with your last rotation and then just coming down, taking a little rest. We can use our hands as a pillow. It's a really quick rest. Nice. So from here, we're going to come up back again into a cobra position. And I want a slight bend in your elbows. So I have hyperextension, so my arms tend to bend in a strange way, and it's really important to keep a slight bend so that we're not overextending our elbows. And from this position, you can have your arms slightly more bent if you haven't got as much movement in your back at the moment. What I want you to do is alternate kicking up your legs. Now, this might feel like a really easy movement, but I want you to really focus on pulling with your glutes. So imagining it's your glute muscle that's squeezing and pulling your foot up towards your head. And I really want you to keep the tension in your glute the whole time, even when the foot's on the ground resting, keeping that tension through the legs. We're warming up the glutes for the next part. I'm going to go for 4 more of those, 2 on each side. And again, they're springing up like they're on some kind of elastic band. And 1 more. And coming back down. So from here, we're going to go into a quad stretch. So I want you to bring your right arm parallel to the front of your mat. Your elbow is down. And you're going to reach back around to the inside of your foot and grab hold of your foot. And from here, you're going to twist. As I'm twisting round, I'm pulling my left leg towards my glute. And you can even, if you have the flexibility, bring your hand to the top of your foot and push down, whilst getting this nice opening in your chest. And just breathe here. Notice where you're feeling this in your body, in your shoulder, in your chest, hopefully in your quads and your glutes. And if this isn't enough for you, then you're more than welcome to come up onto your hand here, again with a slight bend, to make that stretch even bigger. And you're just really getting into that quad. And again, as we start to wind down, we're just taking a few moments here, a few breaths, slowing down into the body and the breath. Great, and just releasing that gently, not letting it fling back and coming back down. So we're going to go on to the other side now. So left arm parallel, catching hold of our left foot and pulling it towards our glute. I'm facing away from the camera, but you can see what I'm doing here. I'm doing the same as I did on the other side. Twisting towards my foot. I'm going to bring my hand to the top to give me a little bit more weight on my foot. And if this feels too easy, I want you to focus on pushing your hips in towards the mat, and that will increase the stretch through your quads, pushing your right hip in towards the mat. And again, if you want a little bit more extension here, feel free to come onto your left hand. You get a bit more of a back bend here as well. Great. And again, just bringing our breath to our body as we start to slow down. And releasing this, coming back down to the mat. So we've warmed up our back, we've warmed up our legs, so we're going to finish this series with a bow pose, which is where we're going to reach back around to both of our feet. Our forehead still stays on the mat. And breathing in. And as we breathe out, we're going to lift up and we're going to try and raise ourselves off the mat as high as we can. So our feet are pushing into our hands, our chin is up, our back is contracted, lifting us as high as we can go. And I want you to just feel the tension through every muscle holding you. Remember to breathe. I'm going to stay here for a few more breaths. See if you can lift up even higher off the ground, lifting your feet up even higher. 3, 2, 1, and relaxing back towards the mat. Well done, guys. Just taking a moment here to rest on your hands. We're going to move into our cool down now. So just slowly working your way up through Cobra, pushing back to Child's Pose. And I actually want you to bring your arms by your side this time. Just really let everything drop towards the mat. You may feel a little bit of tension through your lower back through that after doing that bow pose. So Child's Pose is a great counter to that, to round your back the other way. Counter pose. And as we move back up, I want you to breathe in and lead with your chin as you move back up into sitting pose. And breathe out. So I hope you enjoyed that fusion of flow, stretch and workout, and I hope your body's feeling really good now. Feel free to move out, shake out, do any more stretches that you need to really complete this workout in a way where you feel like your body's moved exactly the way that it needed to move to get out any kinks or creaks that were still in there. And really looking forward to seeing you in the next video.